Maya Calloway had nothing but a paper bag of clothes, 7 crumpled dollars, and a bruise on her heart that wouldn't heal for years. The morning her stepfather locked the front door and told her she was no longer welcome, she stood on the cold sidewalk of Harlan Creek, Tennessee, staring at a sky that offered no answers and no apologies. She was 17 years old, and the world had already decided she didn't matter. She walked for 2 hours without direction, her sneakers soaked from the morning dew, her stomach hollow, her mind running loops of every harsh word that had been thrown at her since. Her mother passed 3 years earlier. She had no aunts who would take her in, no friends whose parents would risk the trouble, no safety net of any kind. All she had was herself, and even that felt like very little on a morning like this. She passed shuttered storefronts and barking dogs and a church with a locked gate until she reached the far edge of town where the road turned to gravel, and the houses grew sparse and broken. That's where she saw it. A small clapboard structure, half swallowed by overgrown weeds, its porch sagging, its windows boarded, its front door barely hanging from one hinge. A handwritten sign stabbed into the dirt read, "For sale, $7 or best offer." She stood there a long time. Something in her chest shifted. Not hope, exactly. More like recognition. As if the house and she had both been abandoned by the same kind of world and understood each other without words. She knocked on the door of the neighboring property and found the elderly owner of the lot, Mr. Aldous Greer, sitting on his porch feeding pigeons. He was 81, half blind, and had been trying to sell that ruin for a decade just to stop paying the taxes on it. When Maya laid her $7 on his porch railing, he looked at her for a long moment, at her swollen eyes and the paper bag at her feet, and he signed over the deed, without a word of negotiation. She slept in that broken house that night on the bare floor with her bag as a pillow, the wind coming in through the gaps in the walls, and she told herself this was not the end. This was the foundation. She spent the first week doing nothing but cleaning, hauling out decades of debris with her bare hands, scrubbing mold from the floors, pulling weeds taller than she was. She found work washing dishes at a diner, 3 miles away, and walked both directions every day. She asked questions of everyone who would answer. The hardware store owner taught her how to patch drywall. The plumber who fixed the diner's sink showed her how to red a pipe. A retired carpenter named Dolores, who came in for coffee every Thursday, began stopping by the house on weekends, just to show Maya how to swing a hammer properly. People who had nothing to gain gave her their time freely, because something about a girl who refused to quit called out the best in strangers. Month by month, the house changed. The porch was replanked. The windows were replaced with second-hand glass she found at an estate sale. The walls were painted a warm yellow she chose because it reminded her of sunlight, which she had decided to surround herself with in every form she could find. She planted a garden along the front walk with seeds she bought for cents, and by her 18th summer, flowers bloomed where there had only been weeds. By the time she was 20, the house was not just livable, it was lovely. A local journalist wrote a small feature about the girl, who'd bought a ruin for $7 and rebuilt it with her hands and her will, and that article traveled further than anyone expected. Contractors called offering work. A nonprofit that trained young people in skilled trades offered her a full scholarship. She took it, graduated at the top of her program, and went on to start a small renovation company that specialized in buying forgotten homes in forgotten neighborhoods and giving them back to families who needed a start. She never forgot what it felt like to be thrown out, so she made it her life's work to make sure others had somewhere to belong. And it all began with $7, a broken door, and the quiet decision of a girl who chose to build rather than break. The house on the gravel road still stands. Maya kept it. She says it reminds her that nothing is too far gone to become something beautiful, including yourself. If this story moves something in you, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner Stories, where every story is a reminder that ordinary people carry extraordinary hearts. Your support keeps these stories alive.